I'm here to tell you that the greatest gift you could possibly get anyone is, frankly, a gaming laptop. Super fancy, usually very expensive, lots of fun. If you give someone a gaming laptop, they're gonna love you. If you get one from someone, you will then love that person and be loyal to them for your entire life. The problem is, gaming laptops can be kind of expensive. It's usually a multi-$1,000 investment, but don't worry, I'm gonna show you, yes, some fancy ones, but also some budget ones that are gonna fit the bill. We really have a wide range of gaming options here, because who doesn't like gaming? Let's start off with one of my favorite gaming laptops this year, a great example of that super premium gaming laptop feel. It is the Alienware X15 R2, and it really does a lot of the things I like in a gaming laptop, which is basically be very powerful, be very flexible, but also look cool, not look like an old school gaming laptop where they're big and gawky and have giant flashing lights and alien heads and all this goofy stuff that, frankly, if you don't live in a dorm room, you don't really want in your life. What Alienware has done here is they made a very thin 15-inch gaming laptop that is very powerful, very flexible. You can get a lot of different CPU and GPU options. You can get a lot of different screen options, which I really appreciate. You can get a 144 hertz screen, you can get up to a 360 hertz screen, a 240 hertz screen, different resolutions. So I always like a lot of those options in there. And yet they keep it pretty thin. It's got this inset hinge, which helps it not feel too thick and chunky. Yes, there's a little light up alien head in the back, but it's kind of subtle. It's much more subtle than it used to be, so I'm going to give them a pass on that one. It also does something I really like a lot in that it breaks out what I think some of the most important keys are, those volume keys, volume up, volume down, mute, and puts them in standalone buttons on the side so you don't have to hit like function F4 to change the volume or to mute something. When you're gaming, I think that's one of those super important things that if you don't have it, that's going to be a point off your score. Now, the downside, of course, is these things can get pretty expensive. A good configuration is going to cost you about $2,500. You can definitely go way up from there. If you knock it down too much from there, you might as well get a budget gaming laptop instead. But super premium, really one of the nicest looking gaming laptops I think you can get right now. Now, the good news is budget gaming laptops are a lot better now, more powerful now than they were even a couple of years ago. For $1,000, $1,200, you can actually get something really good. Some of my go-to budget gaming laptops right now are the HP Victus. That's a really nice one. There's also the Acer Nitro 5. I just started testing the Dell G15, which is really one of the definite go-to gaming laptops. And they all kind of will give you something like, you can usually get about a 3050 card from NVIDIA in them for about $1,000. You get a 3060 if you bump up to maybe $1,200, $1,300. And you usually have some decent options in terms of CPU and GPU choice. You're usually stuck with just one or two screen options, but all the ones I mentioned have 144 hertz screens, so at least you have a decent display there. What you're giving up is they're kind of thicker, they're heavier, the keyboards and touchpads are not as good. They're a little creaky, and they have kind of that, chunky, ugly gamer look. They're not as sophisticated as something fancy like the Alienware, but this is definitely a good time to get a budget gaming laptop, especially because if you get something even with a 3060 card, it's going to be good for a couple of years at least. It's not going to age out as maybe some older budget gaming laptops would have. They wouldn't have lasted as long. You can make a multi-year investment and still only spend $1,000, $1,200. Asus always has really interesting laptop designs. In their gaming laptop right now, they have a really interesting family, the Flow family. And it's 3 different machines and an accessory that I think is really interesting. There's the Z13, the X13, and the X16. The Z13 is a tablet. It's meant to be a gaming tablet. That's pretty rare. X13 is a 13-inch 2-in-1 laptop, and that the screen folds 360 degrees. And the X16 is a very rare, big 16-inch gaming laptop that again has the screen that folds over if, let's say, you're using a controller and you just want to have the screen in front of you and not the keyboard. Super cool. The hook here is Asus makes an accessory. It's an external GPU box that plugs in through a proprietary connection to any of these 3 devices. So if you have something like a 3050 or a 3060, a lower end GPU in one of these, and you plug in this external GPU box that has an NVIDIA 3080 card in it, well, then you've got a super high powered laptop. But you can unplug it and take just a regular laptop version with you. It's more portable, better battery life. Then if you're home and you just want the super graphics experience, plug in the external GPU box, which again, is an extra $1,200 on its own, not inexpensive, but I like that it works with a bunch of these different laptops. Of these three, I think the X13 is probably the one that makes the most sense. It's a pretty decent 13-inch laptop. It's got that 360-degree hinge. You can get it, I think, with either a NVIDIA 1650 or 3050 GPU unit, depending on how much you spend, which are fine, but not great graphics cards. And then you plug in your 3080 and boom, you're out there. It's also a little bit on the expensive side. If you get, let's say, the 16-inch model and the external GPU, you're looking at like $3,200 for the combination. This does not fall in the budget laptop category. But now I'm going to tell you about probably the least expensive gaming PC that you can buy, but it's also, I think, one of my favorite new gadgets of the entire year. It is the Steam Deck from Valve. It is a handheld gaming PC. A lot of other companies have tried this over the years. Nobody's really nailed it. I had, frankly, very modest expectations for the Steam Deck, and I love it. There's three versions of the Steam Deck. There's a $400 version that frankly does not have enough storage space in it to really get you started. There's a $529 version. That's what I have. That's the middle range. That's the one you should get. There's a more expensive one also. The nice thing is there's a micro SD card slot, so you can just throw a 1 terabyte chip in there and have a decent amount of game storage. Even with that, I still find myself deleting and downloading and making room on the hard drive because there's so many things I want to play on it. It's AMD powered, kind of maybe comparable to a PS5 or an Xbox Series X. The reason it can get away with playing so many Steam games and playing them so well is, frankly, it's a smaller, lower res screen, so you're not pushing that many pixels, so you can get decent frame rates, decent performance, because frankly, you're playing it on this little screen. You can output it to a big monitor if you want. The experience there is not quite as good. Actually, Valve makes a dock for it finally. You can get that for about $80, and you can charge it through there, and you can output via HDMI, or you can plug in Ethernet, do all kinds of cool stuff like that. But just as a grab-and-go PC gaming device that's kind of like a Nintendo Switch, but also kind of like a gaming PC, I think it's fantastic. And the best thing is there was a long waiting list for these. You had to sign up and wait months and months and months. They're finally through that waiting list. Now you can actually order one and get it shipped almost immediately. So I hope a lot more people are going to get a chance to try out the Steam Deck. The nice thing is that gaming PCs can run several $1,000s or they can run $500, and you can get a good experience either way if you shop carefully. Great gift to give, great gift to get. I've got some options for you. You can, of course, like and subscribe and see more of these gift guide videos, and you can find links to the reviews of a lot of these products right down below.